Hello and welcome back to another Escape from Tarkov video. I realise it has been a while, and for that I apologise. Now this video is going to be because I upgraded to a 4080 over my 2080 Super, and I would like to see and show you guys what the difference in performance is on each map. Well, a few maps. Not each one, there's too many of them now. And this was done before Streets came out, so Streets isn't included. But, long story short, I get around about 80 FPS on Streets, 80 to 90. On screen now you can see my PC specs. Now the graphics card isn't listed because I'm showing you a comparison of what it was with my 2080 Super and the 4080. Essentially it's very similar to specifications Deadly Slob has for his gaming PC, because he released that video and then I got jealous and then my partner's PC broke, which gave me the perfect opportunity to purchase a whole new setup. I know, I have issues. I digress. So you can see on Shoreline on the 2080 Super, it was getting around about 60 to 70 frames per second. Isn't bad considering this is 1440p on a card that really... It was a good card when I bought it, but it was... I should have got the 2080 Ti. If I got the 2080 Ti, I would not have needed to upgrade. I mean, I didn't need to upgrade anyway, but we all do stupid things. Now, in comparison to the new 4080, you can see same space, same options, same everything. The 4080 is giving me round about 20 to 30 extra frames. Now, that's a pretty big jump. If you consider this, it's 1440p, so it's 2K gaming. It's not 1080. 1080 you would definitely be seeing over the probably the 140 mark, which it's kind of annoying because I've got a 1440Hz monitor. I want 144 frames, but it's also 2K, and I want to game at 2K. Now with Tarkov, you've got the choice: better resolution and less frames, or more frames and less resolution. You don't tend to win. I do think the performance in Tarkov needs a massive optimization update, especially with the new maps on Streets. That map is it's a dumpster fire. I don't know how you can make a map and release a map that has network issues. Only on Streets do you have the rubber banding and the pullback and the network issues. I don't know how you can do that. Like, from my rudimentary knowledge of game design, I don't know how you can make a map that has network issues when the rest of the game doesn't. Well, let's rephrase that. The rest of the game does not have those same network issues. The netcode for the rest of the game isn't perfect either. But you can see with that handy dandy little FPS counter in the top right hand corner that on customs I'm getting around about 80 frames on the 2080. Now just ignore the fact that I got molested by, the goons. That was not great. Now on the 4080, weirdly enough, in this beginning it was 122 frames, which was good. And then as soon you can see the moment there when the scavs jump in, it immediately drops down to about 70 and then idles again at about 100. So again, we're looking at an uplift of around about 20 to 100 frames per second. Yeah, 20 to 100. 20 to 30 more frames per second. I mean, it's definitely a big increase, but I think you would see more of an increase with a lower resolution than you would the higher one. I mean, that's part of the course. I don't know why I'm explaining that. I think probably because I've ran out of things to say, and I haven't got a very interesting clip in front of me because I didn't cut this one to as short as it should have been. But I'll take this time to ask you, how's your wipe going? It launched, we're about a week, like 2 weeks and a half into the wipe. I think this wipe has been tough. Patch point 13 has been a struggle for me, I'll be honest. There's times where I'm just like, nope, I'm not taking that weapon into a raid because I know within 2 minutes it's going to be back to the death screen. So let me know in the comments, what have you been struggling with this wipe? If you have been struggling with anything, just make me feel a little bit better. And now on screen we're looking at factory. Now factory on the old card I'm getting about 100 frames per second, which that's not bad to be fair. If you can play factory at 100 FPS, you've got a reasonable, a reasonable frame rate there. Now You can see I had a scope there. I just wanted to test how much the scope drops the frames. You were looking at around about a 20 FPS decrease looking at the scope, which is not great, but it's better than it used to be when literally looking into any scope on Tarkov would halve your FPS. Those were the good old days. Back when you could med on the fly and you magazines magically repacked themselves when you dropped the bullets in them. I definitely think Tarkov is improving, but I do think a lot of the sort of day 3, day 4 changes they have done on this wipe weren't good ideas. I love the changes they've made to the scavs, with the more random weapons and the better durability, but I absolutely hate the changes they've made to certain quest keys being single use. That to me it's ridiculous. And it was so heavy-handed the way it was done after all the big streamers had gone past that point. I would hate to be anyone doing machinery key right now, where you've literally got to go to dorms first, which, let's face it, dorms is one of the worst places to go on customs as a fresh person to the game. Like, that is where a lot of the action for customs is going to be. But I just feel like it was a change that didn't need to happen, or if it did happen, it should have been day 1 on the wipe, not when the vast majority of the no-lifers has already passed that point. I've passed it because I absolutely hammered this game, on the wipe week. But you can see on screen that the FPS jump, it's going all the way up to 200 there. Spoiler alert, it doesn't stay at 200. I don't think the scavs had yet fully locked. There you go. You can see it. You can see it. Scavs immediately jump in, goes down to about 160. You are looking at around about a 60 FPS increase, though. I think that is a solid increase in frames. If I could have got 60 FPS on every map increase, it would have been great. I realise how first world problems that sounds. Like there's people playing Tarkov like I used to play Tarkov on a 970. Getting 40, 45 frames a map and are very happy with that at 1080p. I think that's the type of game Tarkov is, though. It will make you suffer as much as it can. Like, even if you know you don't have the PC to run it, you'll still play it, even if you got 23 frames. I know a guy plays and he's got 23 to 30 FPS, and he's like, "This is fine." I'm like, "Mate, you may as well just load the game up in PowerPoint and just go through slide by slide at that point." I do think Tarkov should lower the barrier to entry, though. Like, I don't think you should have to have a current gen PC to play this game to get 60 FPS at 1080. You should be able to spend 600 to 800 quid or dollars on a PC and get, 60 FPS at 1080 on every map. That should be your ballpark. But you can see I'm on reserve now on the old card, getting around about 82 FPS, which, to be fair, it's not bad. Like, I would have been happy with that. When I started playing this game 5 years ago, if I could have got that on every map, I would be happy. Would have been very happy. Now, I do have this feeling that every map on Escape from Tarkov, you can sort of look at the optimization and you can just see that the longer the map's been out, the better it performs. So hopefully Streets will eventually become a map that people don't have any issues on. But at the moment, I definitely think if you've got a PC that doesn't get you 60 FPS on each map, I just wouldn't play Streets. I'd avoid it. Reason being is you're not going to have a fun time, and it's no better of a map than any other map in the game. Personally, I probably prefer, well, it depends what I'm doing. If I'm doing Scav, it's Shoreline. If I wanted to go PMC and get loot, you would be looking Lighthouse or Reserve. Streets, I enjoy because it's very close proximity and all the fights are close, but there's nothing worse to losing a fight due to the game glitching out. Now, I didn't see an amazing jump in FPS performance for Reserve. primarily because I tested in two different spots. One of them I was looking at the entire map, the other one I was looking at nowhere. This one I'm looking at the sky and the floor to see what the FPS is. Essentially, you can see me dipping below 60 on woods here, but previously on reserve there, I think the increase would have been around about 20 frames. It feels pretty consistent 20 frames across the board. Now, woods, again, you're looking at around about 20 frames. Interesting thing with the woods though, the new card, it sort of like shortens the highs and lows. So woods before it dropped below 60. Now, same area, I'm looking at 90, 73, 96. It's not going anywhere near. The lowest before it was going around about 54, which 54 on a 2080 Super is pretty poor performance. But there you have it. That is the performance increase on Escape from Tarkov from going to a 2080 Super to a 3080 Super. Now, I can't advise that as a step to getting more performance out of Tarkov, but if you're interested, I definitely think it's a decent card. Perhaps wait for the prices to come down a little though. If you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. It is a massive help to me in terms of motivation, and it definitely makes me feel less like an idiot for buying a 4080. Hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching.